We also acknowledge you, and to our kinsman, who is now governor of the province, the Honorable Walter Snowbelt. Thank you very, very much for all your presence with us in this important moment. To the team at the Central Bank, led by Governor Elizabeth, thank you for your work and ensuring that the instruction on making sure Sir Julius's face is on our 100 kina bill is finally realized, and so I want to step back and say thank you very much to all of you who made it happen. Amongst us, we have our Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Justin Tshichenko. We acknowledge your presence. Also, member for Kiriwina Goodenough and the leader of People's Progress Party, the Honorable Douglas Tomarasi, and your good wife, Lady Mrs. Tomarasi, thank you for your presence. You have filled in a very big shoe. The leader of People's Progress Party, one of the foundational parties of our country that partnered Pangu Party at 1975 in the journey towards our independence, and of course independence and onwards. So do acknowledge you. And all of you in the financial sector, all of you who have attending this evening's or this afternoon's presentation, particular mention to Sir Yana Bello, representing a class of Papua New Guineans who were in the first cabinet, the cabinet leading up to independence and the cabinet after independence. Sir Yana Bello sitting in front of us, say I want to appreciate your presence. May Plapaitim you, na generation you. He was then member for Kagua, Erawe, and was our country's first works and infrastructure minister, was with Sir Julius in the cabinet when the debate on which one gets the higher value, kina or toya. And so Sir Julius, as always, a humble man, allowed kina to ascend to be our dominant currency and toya to be the currency denominated as we know today. So some history. Sir Yano has a son called Kina. If I'm not wrong, Kina is with us today. And Sir Julius had a son called Toya. Toya present with us today. Two of the fathers of our country back then. They decide that the tradition must be embodied in their own family. And so you have a citizen of our country called Kina Bello, and a citizen of our country called Toya Chan. They are amongst us today in person, so we want to acknowledge this. Why do I take the time to go through all of this? I just want to put many of our children today, you are consummated with the junks on Facebook and TikToks and all this sort of thing. Our country has its history, and you must know your country's history. We must know our country's history and the path in which we have traveled on. I want to also acknowledge note printing. Thank you for working diligently, prudently as always, and you are now going to be part of the launch of the circulation of a new 100 kina bill as we step into our 51st year since independence. Muraida, I want to say Sir Julius is gone. It was in 2020, if I'm not wrong, Mark, you can correct me, when we launched his book at the Parliament House, the so back then, in his birthday, when we launched the book in Parliament, and I asked him, Sir, can I have your face on our 100 kina bill? And he, as always, like he is a very polite man, a gentleman, and he knows his place. He refused. He refused, and I said, no, you will not get it on until, and if I'm gone and you want to put it on, up to you, if you're still around, but you don't put my face on the 100 kina when I am still alive. Please, if you invite him, big clap. That was, I think, 21 or 22 thereabouts, or 2020. My memory is not as good as Sir Julius. When I go to his house, he will always draw from his really nicely knitted file, cabinet, everything that is ordered and dated to the correct date. And Sir Julius beats us to the way he does things, but in any case, he told me not to do anything until if he's gone and if he wants to do it. So as he passed, and I think we are 2 days shy of his passing, if I'm not wrong, 2 days shy of his passing. He passed last year, 30th of January 2025. And so it is a fitting moment for us to honor the man, who gave so much. Sometimes we try to pass accolades to the Prime Minister of the day, but also ministers do work, or some ministers don't work, either ways, but Sir Julius was amongst the hardest working. When he was minister to prime ministers he served, amongst the hardest working minister. Never asked us second instructions, so long as instructions are consistent with policy and consistent and anchored in law, he gets out there to get things done. And so in the 1972 election and government formation, Sir Julius's PPP party gave substantial number to Congo party, and they assembled to form what was the pre-independence government that birthed our country. He was then finance minister, and after independence, finance minister. He was responsible for the structure of the economy that we have today, and right through the length of his public life, he's played pivotal roles in the construct of our modern economy as it is today. And so if there is anyone rightfully deserve a place in our highest bill in our country, then it is Sir Julius, undisputed. Sir Julius, undisputed. And I say this with greatest respect to Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare and every other leaders who have served, but equally Sir Julius deserves a place. And right now as I speak, there is no reference to Sir Julius in many of our buildings, many of our roads, and many of our things we have in our country. And for the men who deserve recognition, I think the rightful place for us to carry his face and his memory and his character and his values perpetually into our country's future is the 100 Kina bill that we have carried today. And I am so thankful that Governor and your team at the Central Bank, your board and your staff, and our partner printing company, Note Printing Company of Australia, you have taken the advice and recommendation and went to work. And today, 2 days or 3 days shy of his passing, I am privileged to stand to witness the launch. The hard money approach that he supervised right in the mid-70s, before independence, after independence, the floating of Kina in 1994, when he was in active leadership. And for those who feel that Kina cannot be floated, I just want to advise all of you. Kina must find its right place on the market. As Kina finds its right place on the market, there's a fine balance. You receive a fair value on your exports, as well as pay a fair price on your import. And it is government and treasury's responsibility to making sure that the economy, and working with central bank, the economy is not in a bad place. And so he was responsible for floating Kina in 1994. We need to earn more from our exports. He did the right thing at 1994. If I was in his cabinet at 94, I would have done the same. A hard Kina, 20 years on after independence, needs to be looked at. So he as the person who birthed Kina and the hard Kina policy, he was there at 1994, 1995 to allow Kina to find its place on the market so that our exports, our gold, our oil, our coffee, our copra, our cacao, as we produce to export, they must bring back fair value Kina into our country. So he floated our Kina for the first time and right through up till today. And I want to say it is quite a momentous moment when we give respect to the man who's widely known as the father of Kina and Toya and our country's economy to be placed on a 100 Kina bill forever. Thank you once again, Central Bank, for giving honor to a man. For me personally, I have a very, very close respect to the man. He first endorsed me as a candidate in 2002. Somebody had picked me up in 2007, but it was Sir Julius who grafted me into politics, and it's a pleasure of mine and privilege that as Prime Minister, I'm seeing the face of the giant, the great man, finally being placed appropriately at the highest note on the land. Thank you, Thomas. God bless.